is Tarik Talk. Your host, Tarik Mendes, takes you on a journey with guests from all around the world. Broadcasting around the world. Around the world. This is Tarik Talk.
All right, guys. Today I'm here at Spring Break Art Show with Elizabeth. I'm so sorry.
Elizabeth Berglund.
Berglund?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you so much for helping me with that. It's a pleasure. Thank you so much for being on the podcast, Elizabeth. Would you mind sharing your Instagram with us?
Yeah, I'm at Elizabeth Berglund. Last name is spelled Bergland.
Perfect. I have to say. And also you're in booth 81, correct?
Yes.
For everybody
Yes.
listening. I have to say your booth, first of all, the color is so pleasant and welcoming. But the fact, I think you're the first artist that have music in your booth, so it gives like the whole immersive, presentation, and I love. Can you tell us a little bit about the work you're exhibiting in your booth, please?
Yeah, so I've got, there's basically two parts, two separate series. There are three very large paintings in here that were part of my masculinity series. I, for the first time, started painting men a few years ago.
Oh, nice.
I just kind of in this, deliberate desire to flip the script. It's, historically speaking, it's always been painting women. I'm like, okay, fine. I'm going to put men in the canvas. And I did long interviews.
The subject, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I did long interviews with each of them. And I think, my approach when I began was very different than where I ended up. I think I began maybe mirroring more what the general public narrative tends to be.
Yeah.
And by the end, after all these kind of long interviews and painting, I did 10 portraits. I felt completely different. I felt
wow.
like there's a lot that's left out of what we talk about. I kept hearing things of just mostly loneliness, kind of this sense of loneliness, kind of feeling crippled by responsibility and all these other things. And there's things that are alarming statistically. The rate of suicide for men is 4 times higher than we see with men. So it just made me think I need to really be digging at what I think about these systems of power and what that means. So that's what these portraits are about.
And I gotta say, this is beautiful and definitely a must see at booth 81. Is this oil? Are you painting in oil?
Yeah, oil on canvas.
Oh wow,
yep,
that's amazing.
Oil on canvas.
Very good. And what's your creative process like?
My gosh. So with these portraits, I had my subjects come in and they did a long sitting with me. I sketch from life and take a ton of portraits or photographs and end up working for maybe up to a dozen different photographs. I never paint from just one. And then the backgrounds are all imagined.
Oh, wow.
I paint them in just, I get to build the world around them.
Love that.
These other 3 paintings, they're much smaller. This is kind of a more recent shift for me. They are kind of exploring more my interior world and this kind of internal tug of war that I've got going between my desire for complete solitude and solace in the studio versus like wanting this really rich, abundant like family and social life.
That.
And so these have unfolded differently, kind of more like writing a diary. I did much less planning with this and just started painting. So these are part of a much larger series that I'm currently working on.
I love that. And what's your studio ritual like? When you get to the studio, are you able to just like close the door, sit down, and get to work, or do you have to have like a coffee, meditate, read a newspaper?
Yeah, I run a pretty tight ship.
Nice.
I work basically 9 to 5.
Wow.
I'm in there every day. I take weekends off. I kind of run it like a normal job, and developing that kind of stable studio practice has been really good. So Mondays are usually admin work. I sit down, catch up on emails, any applications that are due. Yeah. And then I actually don't even have internet in my studio, so I'm never
You're a genius.
online. So it's just really focused painting time. And my work, I generally work pretty big, so the paintings take a while, which means there's really all parts of me in the painting.
I
show up
and you're giving all of you to your work.
There's days when I feel great and I'm motivated and I'm productive, and there's days when I'm like, oh my gosh, it's a slog, and I paint sad and I paint scared and I paint, so like by the end the work really has the full culmination.
Like on those sad lazy days, are you an artist that like when you go in, you're not having a good day but you still commit, you show up?
I do.
Are you able to like actually have a full work day, or are you kind of like, you know what, let me go for a walk, let me call it a day?
Not really. I kind of make I mean some days when I'm like, this is just not happening, or like maybe I need a nap or whatever, but most of the time I kind of like I stick it out. I feel devoted to that discipline, my studio discipline. So it maybe isn't going to be a fruitful painting day, but oftentimes I'll end up writing. I do a lot of writing around my work. Maybe it's a sketching day. Is it like
poetry or just like description about each painting?
More, maybe a little bit of poetry, more just kind of just stream of consciousness sort of thoughts that I'm getting out. It helps me I think it's so important to learn how to talk and write about our work as painters. Like, early on, I think I so badly wanted the work to just speak for itself. I'm a visual artist. I'm like, I don't like words. I don't want them to say. So it's been it's been a good practice for me to be able to what is it that I'm doing? And sometimes I don't even understand it until I take the time to that's so cool. Sit and write. So that's cool. Yeah.
And do you have anything coming up later this year that people can like follow you on your Instagram?
I not at the moment. I do not. But I will have some upcoming shows in the spring.
Okay, cool.
But follow along. Get on my mailing list.
Get on Instagram, and sign up. And then I don't remember. Sorry, is this your first time at the Spring Break Art Show?
It is my first time.
It is your first time? Oh my gosh, congratulations. Day one. I just know you're going to, I mean, this is an amazing booth. It's so well curated. It's well painted. And then you're so descriptive. Like, as you're speaking, I'm like visually traveling, Thank you. And how many works do you have total here?
There are six
right?
in here.
So 3 large scales and then 3 smaller size. Gotcha.
I think there's 7 on the catalog here. I wasn't completely certain which ones were going to work in the space. So there's one other really massive one that's in the catalog.
Perfect.
But is not.
And then when people interact with your work, do you like to kind of like stand back and watch them from afar, or you kind of like to talk to like the audience and see their point of view and what they see in the painting?
I mean, I try to feel it out and see what people are wanting. It's almost like hopping in an Uber. Like, is the Uber driver going to be chatty? You have to kind of feel drive that a little bit. Some people, you can tell, don't really want to be talked to. They want to take it in. Some people are wanting to engage.
And are you based in the city?
I'm actually based in Philadelphia.
Oh, nice. That's so cool. Yeah. Okay, cool.
It's a great place to work as an artist.
Definitely, I love Philly. But thank you so much for being on the podcast, Elizabeth. Do you mind sharing your Instagram one more time for us?
Yes, it's at Elizabeth Bergland, last name spelled Bergeland.
Perfect. And everybody that may be interested in listening to your podcast for your openings in the spring, they can sign up for your mailing list, follow you on Instagram for all the cool stuff.
Please do.
And do you share like any like behind the scenes of like all the pictures you take?
Yeah, I do. I make a lot of BTS videos.
Oh, nice.
I so enjoy it for my own sake. I take a lot of photos and videos and then go home and kind of digest it, and always end up making
perfect. Love that. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure meeting you today, and good luck for the rest of the week, and hopefully we see each other around when I'm in Philly. Okay?
Thank you for listening to Tarik Talk. Follow Tarik Talk on all social media channels and check out the video interviews online. This is Tarik Talk. Your host, Tarik Mendes, takes you on a journey with guests from all around the world. Broadcasting around the world. Around the world. This is Tarik Talk.
All right, guys. Today I'm here at Spring Break Art Show with Sarah Angel Wilson. Did I get it right?
You got it right,
Thank you so much. Do you mind? How are you today, Sarah?
I'm good. I'm sort of ramping up, readying my social skills to be able to talk to lots and lots of people.
Oh my gosh, I'm sure you're going to do amazing because this is a wonderful booth. I love it so much already.
Thank you.
And I have to say your business cards are so cool. I'm going to share them on Instagram.
Oh, thanks so much. I just cut them all out by hand this morning. So.
Oh, wow. Do you mind sharing your Instagram so people can like check your work as they listen to your episode?
Yeah, for sure. So it's Sarah Angele Wilson, and Angele is spelled Angele, and it's Sarah with an H.
Love that. Would you mind telling us a little bit about the booth you have here?
Yeah, for sure. So this is my second year participating in Spring Break. Last year I sort of had a room, so obviously Spring Break is like an office building, and then artists take over one floor of it. So last year I had sort of an office meeting room, and this year I'm part of the Artist Spotlight section, which is just directly across from all of the sectioned off rooms. So I sort of learned that I was not going to be having walls, which for me, all of my work is wall hanging sculpture. Yeah. So obviously that was, a little bit of a panic moment. So basically I spent the last week just covering insulation foam boards and drywall putty.
Amazing job. I couldn't tell this was a foam board.
Oh, thanks.
That's really cool.
Yeah, so actually all of my work is carved out of insulation foam.
Oh, wow.
So everything here is very light because I'm trying to make my life a little bit easier.
Yeah, and that's also great for shipping too.
Yes, exactly.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's carved out of insulation foam, and then on top of it is a 2-part epoxy clay. So not only is it super light, but it's also impact resistant as well.
Durable, yeah. Oh my gosh. I'm sure all the galleries and curators, you're like the dream artist that has everything thought of. Can we talk about your creative process? Like, how do ideas come to you?
Yeah, for sure. So I'm originally from Canada.
Okay, nice.
So nature is like a huge part of my inspiration. Yeah. Also, living in America compared to Canada, everything just seems a little bit more extreme for some reason. Yeah. Lately, things have felt very extreme. So I really only started doing art recently, like during the pandemic, sort of. Yeah. I was a graphic designer for many years.
Oh, nice.
And then I thought, my God, do I want to die in a pandemic in New York City as a graphic designer? No, I don't. So I sort of started doing this, and I think that catalyst of like, are we all going to die is something that I think about often, and I think like, it still resonates with a lot of people that we sort of lived through something so significant.
Oh wow, I love that. And I have to say, I love how like your personal style like transfers to your work. Like your eye makeup looks so cool.
Oh, thanks.
And it's like the carpet, the reflection back onto you almost. It's like, the art never ends. Art imitates life in a way. I love that. And how did you... Like, what was the inspiration for this booth? Was it like based on the wall part, or you had like, are these all new work or existing work that you had?
Yeah, so the inspiration was, so I guess I should describe what we're looking at. I've got, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sort of boards of what look like almost like concrete. I'm sort of calling it a post-apocalyptic Stonehenge.
Love that.
Post-apocalyptic Stonehenge, yeah. So I'm sort of thinking it almost as like a cathedral, or like what's left. I'm sort of thinking a lot about if we do get taken out, which is why the name of the show is Mother Nature's Bitch, because we all are. We live and breathe per her, allowing us to continue.
The HBIC, That's Mother Nature, right?
So, it's just about if we are all wiped out, what do we leave behind, and what do people think is most important to us?
Yeah.
What, cultures previously, it's like, oh, they worship cats or they worship the sun, and it's like we only think that because of what has managed to survive and what's been left behind. So for us, like, what does that look like? What fills our vaults? What's the most important thing to us?
Oh, I love that. And how do ideas come to you? Is it like in the daytime, nighttime?
I mean, gosh, I would say that I'm definitely a night person. I'm trying to be better about making the most of my day, but I think that also goes back to the pandemic too. It's like, for me, the feeling of no expectations and no obligations is like a really freeing...
It was like creative freedom, totally.
Exactly.
Right?
So I feel like I work best when I know everyone else is not working. So it makes me feel a little bit better. So I'm definitely sort of a night owl, I suppose.
I love that. And do you have any studio like rituals? Like when you get to the studio, you're able to like close the door, get to work right away? Or do you have to have like a coffee, meditate, read the newspaper or something like that?
I'm definitely a coffee person. I try to do that. I meditate. I would love to be that
to be able person. To do it, right? I know. I'm
not like I'm not. I it's just not me. But I guess it's sort of. I don't force myself to do it if I'm not feeling it. Like it really has to be something that I'm into. And when I do work, it's like straight through. I don't stop. I don't take breaks or whatever. So I'm very.
What's your sign?
I'm Sagittarius.
Oh, Sagittarius. Oh, okay.
Why is that?
No. Because the Scorpios. I'm a Scorpio, and we're very much like that.
Okay.
So I thought you were a Scorpio too. Like
Close.
when we do.
Almost.
Yeah.
On the
like,
cusp. The 25th. So it's a little bit.
Yeah, like the trouble with meditating, the start and work and never stop. You know, like the complete ambition.
Yeah.
Love to work at nighttime. You know, I can totally relate to that. And can you tell us about like what you're working on it like until the end of the year? Do you have anything coming up after this?
Yeah. So obviously the floral and fauna is kind of like a major theme of mine.
Yeah.
So I'm working right now on. I'm actually trying to work smaller, a little bit smaller, because bringing
really,
these here.
because this is a great size.
Yeah, it's not bad, but
is
it's
this like a one shape, or are you able to? Are they like attached pieces? The work you're showing.
You mean like to the walls?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the walls are not part of it; they're just for the installation.
No,
so
no.
it's
Like I mean, this is like a whole one piece, or are they like pieces that come together?
Oh, good question. Yeah. So the larger ones are split into two pieces.
Oh, nice.
Just so I don't drive myself.
Yeah, I was about to
insane.
say. I was like, wow.
It's a lesson that I had to learn by
the
slowly
hard way,
going
right?
crazy.
Yeah.
So yeah, these two are two pieces.
Oh, nice.
And then the large one, which is titled Wet, is the top petals are one piece, and then the bottom is all one piece.
Oh, nice. I love how your work, like just visually, like me looking at it before I asked you this question, it's very seamless.
Oh, nice.
So you can't even see where they meet, which
That's
I love
lovely
that.
to hear.
That's
It's always
perfect for
nice.
like, shipping to clients and everything like that. And do you think being from Canada has like impacted your work? Like, do you find certain pieces or parts that you're like, oh, this definitely reminds me, because you said nature, how nature is
Right.
important to you.
Right.
And I see a lot of like love for nature and flowers and gardens.
Well, sort of the ongoing theme is the North Star. So you can see this one right here.
Oh,
This one's
I see
called
it
North
now.
Shore. It's got the North Star in it. The North Star is on that one as well. And so it's sort of like my putting myself almost in the pieces, because that's sort of what I think of home is like, that's my North Star. That's
Oh, I love that.
So
I love that. And do you have it like how do you keep track of your ideas? Like, do you write them down? Do you draw everything?
yeah, so I like to sketch by hand, but like super roughly.
Yeah.
Usually I sketch by hand. It's just about concept and layout, and I don't really get into like the nitty gritty of it all. When I start to really develop a piece, if I'm really interested in pursuing it, I'll move into Adobe Illustrator.
Oh, nice.
And so from there I'll sort of work like almost just like a flat vector. And then from there I'm sort of able to extrapolate, to push things further back or to pull things forward and create more depth that way.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah.
And I just want to make sure to give listeners your exact location. We're at the artist spotlight section. So it's definitely a must see her booth. But yeah, for sure. And can you say your Instagram one more time for the listeners?
Yeah, for sure. So it's Sarah with an H, Angele, which is Angele, and then Wilson.
Perfect. Congratulations. It's a really great booth. And thank you so much for being on the podcast. I really enjoyed talking to you and getting the whole background of your booth. Definitely good vibes. Thank you so much for being
having
here.
Me.
Thank you for listening to Tarik Talk. Follow Tarik Talk on all social media channels and check out the video interviews online. This is Tarik Talk. Your host, Tarik Mendes, takes you on a journey with guests from all around the world. Broadcasting around the world. Around the world. This is Tarik Talk.
All right, guys. Today I'm here with Christine Romanow. How are you, Christine?
I'm great.
Thank you so much. We are Spring Break Art Show Day 1. Congratulations on such a fabulous booth. Can you tell us a little bit about the work you're exhibiting here?
So everything that I create is based on infinity, and the circle is the ultimate expression of infinity. Not that we'll ever experience it as humans, but I work with rotational symmetry and sacred geometry. So each of these pieces starts from a very similar drawing. Sometimes it ends up being a wood sculpture, sometimes it's ceramic, sometimes it's 3D printed. So I'm working with a lot of different materials and a lot of different techniques.
And I have to say I love the amount of color and amount of the medium that you use. It's such an attention grabbing. Can you tell us about your creative process? What is it like for you? Like, how do ideas come to you?
I read a lot of cosmology, physics. I'm a big fan of Roger Penrose.
Oh, wow.
I love his theory of the cyclical universe. There's one big bang that flows into the next, that flows into the next.
Yeah.
I think it mimics life. You know, you have cycles, and things come and go and ebb and flow. Again, it's kind of infinite, you know. It's kind of a comfort for me. My mom died last year.
Oh, I'm sorry.
But, you know, it's that cyclical nature of things that kind of gave me
circle
a lot of
of
comfort.
life.
Circle of life. So that's kind of what my work is about and where the inspiration comes from. You know, it's kind of like an infinite obsession with infinity.
And how are you able, like, how do you keep track of your ideas? Do you write it down? Do you draw everything?
I draw everything digitally.
Okay.
And then I have like a folder on my computer, which is lots and lots and lots of digital drawings. And sometimes I come up with a new one, or I go back to old ones and, refresh the idea. Sometimes I draw something digitally, and I don't know how it's going to manifest, in the, in the actual world. A lot of people are trying to get their art to look like the world. I'm trying to get
to create a portal almost, it seems.
Exactly. I kind of work in reverse. I create something digitally and then have to kind of manifest it in the real world, where people kind of make a drawing and then, you know what I mean? It's kind of, I'm working opposite. But
I love that. And do you have any like studio rituals? Like when you get to the studio, you're able to sit down and get to work right away? Do you have to have a coffee, read the newspaper, meditate?
Well, it's important to have lunch with my mates. So I'm at Manufacturers Village in East Orange.
Okay.
So it's a studio complex. It was built in the 1880s, so the original Johnson & Johnson factory.
Oh, wow.
We just recently formed a nonprofit, but there's about 65 artists.
That's amazing.
So on my floor, there's about 8 of us. So every day, we sit down, we have lunch.
Oh, wow, that's
there,
so cool,
You know what I mean? So we have lunch, we talk about the art of the day or politics or whatever. We have like a great lunch. It's great to have those people around to kind of bring into your studio. You practice so intimately. When you're veering off, they're like, hey, come
that's
back,
so cool.
Or that's good, or, I think it pushes your practice forward so much more to have other artists around you.
That was actually going to be my next question. Do you find that like helpful for your practice?
Absolutely. I tried out laser cutting steel.
Right.
So I went over to this other artist in the other building, Tom Nussbaum, who does a lot of public art, and he does a lot of steel. I was like, Tom, what do I do with this? He's like, you got to grind that down. Here, here's how you do it. The ceramics, for example. There's another artist on my floor, Ruth Borganite, who's like a master ceramicist, and she was like, I'll teach you how to do it.
Oh, that's amazing.
So
it's like fame school, but for the art. Literally for the artists. Right.
Yeah, exactly. So I wouldn't be where I am right now if it wasn't for my fellow artists.
That's amazing. I have to say, I love how your personal style translates to your art and vice versa, because normally sometimes it's so diverse or like separate or different. It's really cool. It's like you're an extension of your artwork in a way. And I'm so fascinated by your work and your story. I totally forgot to ask you about your Instagram. Can you share your Instagram, please?
It's CS Romanel.
Okay, perfect. So everybody listening, please check out her work. It's amazing. And do you have anything coming up after spring break?
Yes, there is a big open studio event at Manufacturers Village. There'll be 65 artists.
Awesome. When is that?
It's October 19th and 20th.
October 19th.
Weekend from 12 to 5.
12 to 5. And do you want to share your studio number, whoever's listening?
Yes, I'm in Building 1.
Building
on the
1?
second floor.
And that's in East Orange.
East Orange,
that's in New Jersey?
Yes.
Okay, just checking.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
New
very
Jersey.
cool. I'll definitely try to make it if I'm in the East Coast then. But yeah, thank you so much for being on the podcast today. It's been a pleasure. Please follow her. Of course. It was a pleasure meeting you. Look out for all the cool stuff she's being a part of. And thanks again, Christine.
Thank you for listening to Tarik Talk. Follow Tarik Talk on all social media channels and check out the video interviews online. This is Tarik Talk. Your host, Tarik Mendes, takes you on a journey with guests from all around the world. Broadcasting around the world. Around the world. This is Tarik Talk.
All right, guys, today I'm here with Marcus Sivan. Marcus, how are you today?
I'm real good.
We are here on day 1 of Spring Break Art Show. Do you mind sharing your Instagram so people can check out your work as they listen to the podcast episode?
Yep. It's just my name, Marcus Sivan, and then writing. So Marcus Sivan Writing.
Perfect. Thank you so much. So congrats. Spring Break Art Show,
Thank
day
you.
1. Your booth looks amazing. Just to double check, it's booth 35.
Yes.
Are you going to be here all throughout each day?
Yeah, on and off. Yeah, but
okay, cool.
Yeah.
Do you
Try
mind
to hit some of the other fairs too?
Yes. There's so much going on, so much to do and see. Do you mind telling us a little bit about the work you're exhibiting here?
Sure. So I write 4-word, 4-letter poems, and they always use the word only. And I think of them as love poems, although all kinds of love, not just romantic love. Yeah.
Oh, wow. And what's your creative process like? Like, how did you come up with this? Like, how do ideas come to you?
Well, so I would say everyone should try to make only poems. Everyone should try to make 4-word, 4-line poems. They're really fun to do. Like, you can do them when you're shopping. You can do them when you're walking down the street. You can do them in, a boring something that you have to be at. You can think about your only poem.
Love that.
And sometimes, I'll write them in my cell phone notes on my phone, or I carry notebooks with me, or just write them on a piece of paper. And then when I get home, then I'll make them into a painting or a drawing.
Oh, wow. And do you prefer? That was actually going to be my question. And do you prefer, to work in the daytime, or you're a nighttime person, or just like whenever inspiration strikes?
I think I like, kind of quiet time. So that could be any time of day. But I definitely like if you've worked for a while and you kind of lose track of time. You've played all the podcasts, you've listened to all the songs, and it's just. You get into that peaceful kind of place.
Yeah. And do you have any studio rituals? Like when you first get to the studio, you got to have read the paper or get a coffee or have to do anything? Or can you just get in, close the door and get to work?
I definitely like to organize supplies, you know, like I have a toolbox for the paint, and jar for this and container for that. So I like to, sort of make sure everything's set out, and I'll make my plan, like I'm going to try to do this much today,
And then do you have any pets that you keep in the studio or anything? Any pets?
Oh, I don't have any pets.
I don't have any pets? No, me neither.
I wish I did.
It's a lot. It's too much upkeep. Like when you live in the East Coast, I think winter. I'm from Brazil originally. I cannot do walking in the snow. Sorry, but I do love pets.
Someday.
And are you able to keep a work-life balance? Or are you always inspired, always think, can you kind of separate the two?
Well, I do a lot of things, and work-life balance is definitely new to me. The amazing thing is that I found it in New York.
Oh, wow.
So New York, which is this crazy place with so much going on, I actually feel the most calm here and the most balanced, and my laundry is done and hung up and folded. Groceries are in the fridge, whereas at other points in my life, that was challenging.
Oh, I love that. And do you think being, as you said, you're from Boston, correct?
I was born in Boston, grew up in Baltimore, and then moved around a bunch.
Oh, okay. And do you think that background has impacted your work?
Interesting. I definitely think I've moved a lot. And so I definitely think when I'm making something, I do think about where's this going to go? And often these only poems, when I first started making them, I would send them to people. So they were gifts to start with. That was a trick that another artist taught me a long time ago. It's if you're not sure about something, when you're starting, send a couple of them as gifts to people. And kind of then you have that audience of one. And I thought that was nice.
It's like a focus group almost, right?
Yeah. But also for love poems, it sort of makes sense.
And how did you start? Did you start writing the poems and then transfer them to the canvas, or what was that from the beginning?
You got it, yeah. And I wanted to put them on linen because I loved the way that linen looked, and I had never, I saw other people using linen. I had never tried it before, and I really wanted to try it. And so I tried it a bunch of ways, a bunch of tests and stuff like that. And the letters are really specific. So I've made text-based work for years in lots of different forms, and I looked back. In moving a lot, when you're moving, and you look through all your boxes, you're like, what is this? Why am I taking this with me? And sometimes, I don't know about you, but sometimes I see a drawing I made or something, and I'm like, this corner is good. And I will still just cut out the corner, and put it back in the box and recycle the rest of it, or use the paper for something else, So I had this kind of amazing archive of all these letter forms that I'd used before. Wow. And so I made a kind of Marcus alphabet from all of those letters that I had used in other works. And then I called up a graphic designer friend, and I said, can you help me like clean this up a little bit, like sort of make them more uniform?
Yeah.
And she did that for me. And then I just went to Canal Plastics right over here.
Okay.
And they made it into a stencil for me. So I have sort of a 2 sizes that I use.
Oh, wow. That was actually going to be my question. Are you based in New York right now?
Yeah, I'm in Brooklyn.
Yeah. And are you like, does the city inspire you? Do you get any inspiration from being in New York and Brooklyn?
I mean, after I'd been here, I came in at the like tail end of the pandemic, and after I'd been here for like a little while, I looked at my friend and I said, I'm not going to be able to see all the shows. Like, and I'm really disappointed because there's so many, and I love it. Like,
oh my God,
this morning when we were coming over here, I said to Matthew, I was like, you know, we could hit a couple galleries like on the way in, you know.
Yeah, no, I totally get what you mean, because sometimes I'll plan with my friends like, hey, let's go to the Met, and then we do this, and then we end up like 6 hours at the Met, and then the whole day is gone, you know?
Right.
Do you ever find yourself like going back to old pieces of work and then like reusing it or getting ideas and like referencing yourself?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I remember like when I lived in San Francisco, for example, I had these big windows sort of like these here in space, and I used to... I was writing Lou Reed lyrics out on paper, and then I was like taping them to the windows so that like you could see the light coming through, and it was like sort of a lined notebook paper. And one of the things I did before I went to grad school, I was transcribing books. So I rewrote an English translation of War and Peace and Notes from the Underground, Crime and Punishment, and so, yeah, those works were formative to me, like both in terms of understanding like how someone constructs a work, you know, overall, but also in terms of thinking about that relationship between, you know, what does it mean to have text on the page, right?
Yeah. And were you always interested in poetry since you were like young, like a little kid, or over time you got like, you know, maybe like subconsciously you started like diving into poems and writing your own?
I was definitely that kid who's like up in my room, like writing stories about, you know, like changing the names, but it was about me and my friends. And
nice.
Like
So looking back at your like earlier work, is it very different to what it is now, or do you find like certain pieces that has evolved into the current work that you have?
I mean, my friends say, "Oh, this is so Marcus about everything I do," but to me, it always feels like, "Oh my God, this is totally new and different."
Yeah. And do you ever get stuck when you're in the studio? Like, do you go in, you do like your normal ritual, get to work, but then you find yourself stuck? Are you the artist that will like try to push yourself until something gets completed and done, or are you able to like step away, take some time off, like, you know, go walk for the rest of the day, have a coffee?
I love my walks. I can't have coffee anymore.
Yeah.
But I love my walks. Deadlines help me a lot.
Yeah,
like
okay.
If I don't have a deadline, sometimes I can get a little lost in the research or kind of go too far on something. But so like this was helpful, like, you know, talking to Ross and Matt, and, you know, they're like, let's try to have this many of them, you know, and I was like, oh, okay. You know?
And how many work do you have you're exhibiting here again?
There are about 20 in there.
20? Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And are they all from 1 year or like sporadically?
They're all from, I guess, the last couple of years.
Oh, nice. Nice. And this is your first spring break, right? Art show?
Yeah, I've been before.
Oh,
but yeah, this is the first time.
This is your first time exhibiting, or?
First time exhibiting.
First time exhibiting? Oh, that's so cool. Yeah, and we're only day one, so
yeah.
I hope lots of good news and good sales for both of you guys.
Thank you.
So thank you so much, Marcus, for being on the podcast. It's been a pleasure. If you could just pretty please give your Instagram account to everybody listening, because a lot of people have like written in that they like to listen to the artist and then look at their work as they're speaking. If you could just please say your Instagram one more time for us.
Marcus Sivin Writing.
Perfect.
MarcusCivin Writing.
Perfect. So this will get published immediately, and those listening, booth 35, please talk to Matthew and Marcus. And a quick question: are you an artist that you like to see people interact with your work, or do you like to like have them talk to you, or have like create a dialogue, or do you kind of just like to watch them from afar?
I'll talk to people. Yeah. I like people.
Do you like to see like how they interpret the work and like what they envision and hear like a different perspective?
Sure.
Yeah. All right. Cool. Very cool. So everybody, please, booth 35, Spring Break Art Show. It's only day one. Up two amazing guests, Marcus and Matthew.
Thank you for listening to Tarik Talk. Follow Tarik Talk on all social media channels and check out the video interviews online.